Have you ever felt like life is spinning out of control, and you're just barely holding on? Have you lost a job, a relationship, or simply felt overwhelmed by the non-stop chaos of daily life? What if I told you there's an ancient path, not just to survive those storms, but to rise above them, stronger than ever? We've all been there. Moments when life feels like it's crashing down on us from all sides. The job you thought was secure suddenly disappears. A relationship you trusted falls apart. Or maybe it's not a single event, just the relentless, exhausting rhythm of modern life that leaves your mind scattered and your heart worn out. In times like these, it's easy to feel helpless, to feel like you're drifting without direction. But here's the truth. You don't have to live in reaction mode. You don't have to be a prisoner of circumstances. What if there was a way, not just to endure chaos, but to thrive in the midst of it? A mindset so powerful, so steady, that even when the world is shaking, you remain centered? Today, we turn to the timeless wisdom of Seneca, a Stoic philosopher whose teachings have guided emperors, warriors, thinkers, and everyday people for over 2,000 years. And those teachings? They aren't just abstract ideas or dusty old sayings. They're practical tools, mental strategies, ways of thinking and living that can transform how you handle adversity, and how you respond to the storms of life. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 powerful Stoic lessons from Seneca, designed to help you build mental toughness, stay calm in the face of pressure, and regain emotional control, no matter what life throws at you. Stick with me, because if you're here, you're not like the average viewer. You're someone who's willing to go deeper, someone who understands that true change starts within. If you find value in this message, one simple, free way to support the channel is to hit subscribe. It may seem small, but it allows us to keep creating meaningful content for people like you. Now, let's begin. Seneca once said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." It's a bold statement, and in today's world of constant multitasking and endless distractions, it may be more relevant than ever. We chase productivity by doing more. We jump from task to task, app to app, screen to screen. But in that race, we lose something vital: focus. Seneca reminded us, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Now, let's turn our attention to one of the greatest illusions of our modern lives: multitasking in a world that glorifies doing more, juggling meetings, replying to texts, checking emails while half listening to conversations. It's easy to believe that multitasking is the key to success. But maybe, it's time we pause and ask, is it really making us more effective? Or is it quietly draining our focus, scattering our energy, and lowering the quality of everything we do? When we try to multitask, we're not actually doing multiple things well, we're doing everything halfway. Our attention gets spread too thin, and the result is often more mistakes, less meaningful work, and a lingering feeling of dissatisfaction. Even Marcus Aurelius, another towering figure in Stoic philosophy, knew this well. He once advised, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions." This isn't just about checking off tasks. It's about cultivating a state of mind, one that values depth over breadth, presence over performance. When you give your full attention to a single task, whether it's finishing a report, crafting something with your hands, or simply listening to someone you love, you're creating space for deep work. And from that depth comes true satisfaction and a sense of progress that no multitasking ever delivers. Even Plato might say that this kind of deep focus allows us to touch something greater, something beautiful and true. Because when you fully engage, you're not just doing a task, you're giving your best, and you're creating something that reflects excellence and goodness. And it's not just philosophy, modern psychology backs this up. When we focus on one thing at a time, we reduce the mental strain on our brains. That means less stress, more clarity, and better decision-making. Aristotle, who believed virtues are formed through consistent right actions, would likely see this single-task mindset as a way to build the virtue of temperance, the discipline to resist distractions and delay gratification. So in choosing to focus, you're not just becoming more productive. You're aligning with timeless wisdom and the best of current science. You're giving your mind what it truly needs, space to breathe, and clarity to thrive. Even Socrates, with his deep, intense method of inquiry, exemplified this. He would fix his entire attention on one question, digging and diving until the truth revealed itself. His mind was a spotlight, not a flickering candle. But if focused attention brings clarity in calm moments, how do we hold on to that clarity when storms hit? When life gets hard, unfair, or even painful, how do we stay grounded? Let's explore Seneca's next lesson, and find out. So, if focusing on one thing brings clarity and strength in the face of distractions, what happens when the chaos isn't just around us, but inside us? Embracing this Stoic principle of focused attention does more than sharpen our productivity. It shapes the very core of who we are, making us more intentional, more grounded, and ultimately more peaceful individuals. It is a quiet but firm rejection of the frenzied energy of modern life, where multitasking has become the norm, and in its place, it invites a slower, more purposeful rhythm, where every action is chosen with care, and every thought has room to breathe. As we begin to live this way, something unexpected happens. Not only does the quality of our work improve, but so does the quality of our lives. Our stress softens, our decisions become clearer. And in the stillness of focused effort, we often rediscover ourselves. Seneca put it plainly: all the greatest torments are the result of an undisciplined mind. And in that one sentence, he reveals a deep truth about human nature. That much of our suffering does not come from the world itself, but from the way we react to it. Our unchecked impulses, anger, envy, fear, desire, can stir up storms within us far worse than anything life throws our way. This is where Stoicism offers us one of its greatest gifts, a framework to understand and manage these inner tempests. Importantly, Stoicism does not ask us to suppress our emotions. It does not tell us to become cold or robotic. Instead, it invites us to observe our emotions honestly, to understand where they come from, and to respond to them with reason rather than reflex. It begins with one powerful practice, self-awareness. Epictetus, another great Stoic mind, once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That's not just a quote, it's a challenge. True freedom, according to Stoicism, is not the absence of rules or responsibilities, but the ability to choose our responses, to govern our own minds with wisdom. To do that, we need to become familiar with our inner world. What triggers our outbursts? What fears are hiding behind our anger? When we begin to notice these patterns, we gain the power to reshape them. This doesn't mean pretending we don't feel. It means feeling with clarity, enough to make decisions that reflect our highest values, not just our momentary urges. Even beyond Stoicism, Aristotle echoed this truth. He believed that true virtue lies in balance, not in denying ourselves entirely, nor in indulging without limits, but in choosing the golden mean between extremes. It's through this practice that we develop character, and in turn, peace of mind. But recognizing our emotions is just the first step. How do we then transform that awareness into daily resilience? Seneca's next lesson shows us exactly how to begin that transformation. Recognizing our emotions is only the beginning. The next step is learning how to respond with wisdom, and not be ruled by every impulse that passes through us. This is where the golden mean, a concept introduced by Aristotle, offers powerful insight. He taught that virtue lies between two extremes, not too much, not too little, just enough. Take courage, for example. It's not the absence of fear, nor the reckless dive into danger. It is the steady strength to act wisely in the face of fear, a perfect balance between cowardice and impulsive boldness. And when applied to impulse control, this idea becomes even more vital. It reminds us that we're not trying to shut down all emotion or live without spontaneity. Nor are we surrendering to every urge that arises. We're aiming for the middle path, a place where we pause, reflect, and respond with intention. This balance, between reaction and hesitation, between emotion and thought, is what shapes us into our best selves. Practicing this doesn't happen overnight. It requires a habit, a discipline, a way of life. It means making rational thought a daily companion, and turning to philosophy not as a set of ideas, but as a living guide. Marcus Aurelius, in his private reflections, now known as Meditations, wrote one of the most empowering lines of Stoic wisdom. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. It's a simple truth with massive consequences. When we stop trying to control everything outside of us and focus instead on our inner responses, we start reclaiming our power. No longer are we puppets pulled by circumstance. We become grounded, deliberate, clear. By examining our impulses, pausing before reacting, asking what value this response serves, we begin to live differently. Our choices are no longer driven by temporary emotions, but by thoughtful reflection. This is where mental toughness begins to take root. Not in denying what we feel, but in taking full responsibility for how we respond. And over time, this kind of steady practice shapes us. It builds a life where decisions are made not in a haze of emotion but in the calm light of reason. A life where peace isn't something we chase, it's something we create through inner discipline. The Stoic approach to impulse control isn't just a mental exercise. It's a way of forming an inner dialogue, one that questions, evaluates, and holds space before we act. It's about weaving philosophy into the fabric of everyday life, so that we can rise above the noise of instant gratification and choose something better, long-term fulfillment, integrity, and purpose. This is not about escaping emotional pain altogether, because pain is part of the human experience. Instead, it's about facing that pain with strength and clarity. So how exactly do Stoics deal with suffering? In the next lesson, Seneca offers a powerful perspective that can reshape how we view hardship itself. Facing pain with clarity and strength doesn't mean avoiding it. It means being prepared, long before the storm arrives. This is where Seneca offers one of his boldest yet most powerful teachings. He wrote, "Rehearse them in your mind: exile, torture, war, shipwreck, all the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes." At first glance, that advice may seem extreme. Shipwrecks, torture, exile? Most of us aren't about to sail into battle or be cast away on distant shores. But look beyond the surface. And you'll find one of the most transformative ideas in Stoic resilience, the practice of mental preparation. This concept, known in Latin as premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, is not about scaring ourselves. It's about training the mind to remain steady, no matter what happens. Not to invite suffering, but to diminish its power over us when it inevitably comes. Stoicism teaches us that if we can visualize the worst, not to dwell on it, but to prepare for it, then we reduce the emotional shock when reality brings discomfort, loss, or change. Think of it like this. Professional athletes train under pressure to simulate the real challenges they'll face on game day. Firefighters don't wait for the blaze, they drill constantly, rehearsing how they'll respond when the flames rise. In the same way, we can mentally rehearse adversity to build emotional strength. Not because we want bad things to happen, but because we want to face them with less fear and more control. And ironically, this practice doesn't fill us with dread, it gives us perspective. When we realize how much worse things could be, we start appreciating how good things actually are. That email you forgot to respond to? That awkward conversation at work? Suddenly, those small stresses lose their grip. By imagining difficulty, we lessen its surprise. We stop clinging to false ideas of safety or control. We begin to understand that life is uncertain, and that's okay. Let's be clear. This practice isn't about living in a constant state of paranoia. It's not about obsessing over every possible disaster or falling into worst-case scenario thinking. It's about a grounded awareness. For instance, if you're feeling anxious about job security, Stoicism wouldn't say ignore it. Instead, it would gently guide you to prepare, update your resume, sharpen your skills, explore new opportunities. So if that challenge does come, you're ready. And readiness breeds confidence. But what happens when, despite all preparation, suffering still knocks on our door? How do the Stoics teach us to endure life's hardest moments, not with bitterness, but with grace? Let's uncover that in the next powerful insight from Seneca. Instead of fearing hardship, we prepare for it. And in doing so, we trade panic for calm, and helplessness for strength. That's why Stoicism encourages us to take practical steps, even while life feels stable. Let's say you're uncertain about your job. Rather than sitting with fear, you start updating your resume, learning new skills, maybe even exploring alternative career paths. This way, if something unexpected happens, you're not caught flat-footed. You're positioned to respond, strategically, not emotionally. And this idea doesn't only apply to careers. Stoic preparation extends far beyond any single crisis. Whether it's a sudden financial setback, the loss of a loved one, or a major shift in life circumstances, having a mental game plan can soften the blow and accelerate your recovery. It's not about being cold or emotionally distant. It's about being ready. Because readiness changes how we experience adversity. It moves us from being reactive, impulsive, panicked, overwhelmed, to being responsive, calm, steady, intentional. That shift might seem small, but it's powerful. It transforms our mindset from fragile to fortified. Seneca's guidance trains us to see hardship not as something to fear, but as something we can meet with courage. This type of inner preparation doesn't mean expecting disaster at every turn. It simply means we're not naive to life's uncertainty, we're emotionally and mentally equipped to meet it. In fact, through the Stoic lens, we begin to see that in every challenge lies more than just the possibility of loss, there's also the chance for growth. Seneca puts it beautifully. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. It's a powerful truth, one that sits at the very heart of Stoic philosophy. The idea that strength isn't built in ease, it's built in struggle. And this leads us to a practice that might seem counterintuitive at first. Voluntarily embracing hardship. Why would anyone willingly choose discomfort? Think of it like training. An athlete pushes their body in practice, running in heat, lifting heavy weights, enduring the strain, not because they enjoy suffering, but because it prepares them for the intensity of competition. The pain has a purpose. The difficulty builds capacity. In the same way, Stoicism teaches us to occasionally step into discomfort, on purpose. To skip certain luxuries. To endure small inconveniences. To test our limits in controlled ways so we're stronger when real tests come. It's not self-punishment. It's self-preparation, but how exactly can we begin to apply this Stoic practice of voluntary hardship in our daily lives, without overwhelming ourselves? In the next lesson, Seneca offers practical wisdom to help us build resilience. One small choice at a time. If resilience is built through hardship, then why wait for life to force it upon us? What if we could train ourselves for adversity before it arrives? That's exactly what Seneca urges us to do, by voluntarily stepping into discomfort. Just like an athlete who pushes their physical limits in a controlled training environment, we can deliberately choose small challenges in our daily lives to prepare for the bigger ones we don't control. Why does the athlete do this? Because they know the real event will be intense, unpredictable, and demanding. By pushing themselves now, in the gym, in the heat, under pressure, they strengthen their body and sharpen their mind for when it matters most. And in the same way, we strengthen our mental toughness by choosing discomfort with intention. Whether it's saying yes to a demanding project at work, practicing public speaking despite our fear, or intentionally simplifying our lifestyle in a world of constant consumption, each act becomes a quiet act of power. Seneca's wisdom shows us that when we deliberately step outside our comfort zones, we're not just testing our limits, we're expanding them. For example, imagine you're terrified of speaking in front of others. It feels impossible. But you begin, just once, by saying a few words in a meeting. Then you do it again, and again. Little by little, your fear loses its grip. What once felt paralyzing becomes manageable, maybe even enjoyable. That's transformation. And it's not about chasing suffering for the sake of suffering. Stoicism doesn't glorify pain. It simply acknowledges a deeper truth, that growth often begins where comfort ends. In fact, this practice resets our internal thresholds for comfort and ease. We begin to ask, what is true comfort, anyway? Is it merely the absence of struggle? Or is it the presence of something more lasting, inner peace, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing, deep down, I can handle this? This shift in mindset is subtle, but profound. As we become more capable of enduring less, we start appreciating more. A hot meal, a peaceful walk, a quiet moment with a friend. These once overlooked pleasures take on new meaning. By building our lives on resilience, not avoidance, we create a foundation that's steady, no matter what storms arrive. And no, Stoicism doesn't suggest we go looking for suffering. But when hardship does come, as it inevitably will, we're not broken by it. We're ready to practice what we've trained for. This act of facing discomfort, over and over, plants seeds of self-efficacy, the belief that we can endure, overcome, and grow. Each time we rise to meet a challenge, we build more than skill, we build trust in ourselves. And that trust becomes unshakable. So let's take a page from Seneca's book. Let's step forward, willingly, into the arena of voluntary hardship. Because it's there, in those moments of chosen discomfort, that we don't just find difficulty. We find strength, clarity, and purpose. Up next, we'll explore how Stoicism transforms the way we respond, not just to what happens, but to how we think about what happens. When we choose to step into discomfort, we find strength. But perhaps the greatest power Stoicism offers is how it reshapes the way we think, not just about hardship, but about everything. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." It's a simple statement, but it holds enormous truth. Think about it, how many times have we played out worst-case scenarios in our minds? How often have we imagined rejection, failure, or loss, only to realize later that the reality was far less painful than we feared? This quote from Seneca is a powerful reminder. It's not always what happens to us that causes suffering, but how we interpret it. Our perception shapes our reality. And all too often, we allow fear, assumptions, and emotional reactions to paint a much darker picture than what's actually in front of us. It's easy to fall into the belief that we're victims of our circumstances. That life is happening to us, and we have little say in the matter. But this mindset can quietly drain us of our power. It shifts us from creators to reactors, from strong to helpless. Stoicism pushes back against that idea with a powerful principle. How you see the event matters more than the event itself. If we view life as something constantly against us, we'll feel bitter, defeated, resentful. But if we view challenges as opportunities, to grow, to learn, to become stronger, we step into the role of active participants in our own lives. Let's look at a relatable example. Imagine you didn't get the promotion you were hoping for. Your first response might be disappointment, anger, even thoughts like, "They don't value me," or "This is so unfair." And yes, those feelings are real. But Stoicism invites us to look deeper. Are we only seeing this through a lens of loss, of rejection? What if instead, we paused and asked, what can I learn from this? Is there feedback I haven't received? Could this be an invitation to grow, either in this role or somewhere else? In doing so, we reclaim our power. We shift from self-victimization to self-reflection. And that shift changes everything. Avoiding a victim mindset doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It doesn't mean denying injustice or difficulty. It means choosing to put our energy into what we can control, our response. And this change in focus is transformative. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin to ask a far more empowering question. What is this trying to teach me? In the next section, we'll explore how this single shift, from reaction to reflection, can unlock a life of deeper meaning, strength, and freedom. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow?" This simple shift in mindset is where Stoicism truly shines. It gives us the tools to pause, take a step back, and detach from our initial emotional reactions, the frustration, the anger, the blame, and instead look at the situation with clarity and purpose. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot always control what happens around us, we can always control how we interpret those events, and how we respond to them. And that awareness? It's liberating. This mental shift removes us from the grip of powerlessness. We are no longer trapped by fleeting emotions or defined by what others do to us. Instead, we begin to live with a renewed sense of agency. We become resilient, focused, and intentional. But the benefits of this Stoic principle go even further. By refusing to cast ourselves as perpetual victims, we begin to relate to others in a healthier, more respectful way. We stop blaming. We stop resenting. And in that space, something new begins to grow, compassion. We realize that just as we are responsible for our own happiness, others are responsible for theirs. We stop trying to control people or outcomes, and instead start building relationships rooted in mutual understanding and respect. This way of being, calm, reflective, empowered, is the heart of Stoicism. It's not about being emotionless. It's about using wisdom to guide emotion. About choosing the stories we tell ourselves, ones that uplift, not confine. When we embrace the Stoic path, we liberate ourselves from the chains of self-pity and helplessness. We no longer wait for life to fix things for us. We take responsibility. We acknowledge that we are the authors of our story, the architects of our perspective, the ones who shape the meaning of our experiences. This is not denial of pain, it's the reframing of pain. It's strength through wisdom. It's choosing to rise, not because life is easy, but because we are capable. Seneca captures this spirit beautifully when he says, "Retire into yourself as much as possible." At first, this might sound like a call for isolation. But in Stoic philosophy, it's something far deeper. It's an invitation to create space, to step away from the noise, the busyness, the distractions, so we can hear the one voice that matters most, our own. In our modern world, so flooded with information, opinions, and noise, we often lose touch with our inner clarity. We forget to reflect. We forget to listen inward, but solitude, when embraced wisely, can become a sanctuary for self-discovery. In the next lesson, we'll explore how Stoicism uses solitude not to escape the world, but to return to it stronger, clearer, and more centered. When we create space for silence, we don't disconnect from life, we reconnect with ourselves. And in that quiet, something powerful begins to emerge. Throughout history, great thinkers and philosophers have spoken of the profound value of solitude. In fact, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor himself, often turned inward through his personal writings. His journal, Meditations, is filled with moments of deep self-reflection, moments that helped him lead an empire with clarity and purpose. He once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That line captures a timeless truth. Solitude is not about isolation. It's about returning home to yourself. In a world that constantly pulls our attention outward, to devices, to news, to noise, solitude becomes a sacred space. A place where the mind can breathe, and the soul can speak. When we intentionally carve out moments of stillness, we give ourselves permission to pause, to explore our thoughts and emotions without interruption. We begin to process our experiences instead of rushing past them. We ask deeper questions. Am I living in line with my values? Is this the life I want, or the one I've settled for? And through this inner dialogue, something powerful happens. We begin to align our actions with our principles. We stop chasing what we think we want and start listening to what we truly need. This practice, when done consistently, cultivates a deeper, more grounded version of ourselves. It strengthens our ability to live with authenticity and pursue a life rooted in purpose. Even Aristotle, though not a Stoic, emphasized the importance of self-reflection in his vision of eudaimonia, a flourishing life. He believed that true happiness came from knowing oneself, developing virtue, and living according to reason. And how do we know ourselves? Through quiet observation, through reflection, through solitude. In solitude, we can assess our lives honestly, without filters, without judgment. We begin to see what needs to change, what needs to stay, and where we've been living out of alignment. And perhaps even more importantly, this practice strengthens our resilience. Epictetus, another pillar of Stoic philosophy, often emphasized the power of reflection in fortifying the mind. When we regularly retreat inward, we're not running from life, we're preparing for it. Because the world will test us. There will be noise, chaos, uncertainty. But a person who knows how to be alone with their thoughts, who has wrestled with themselves in silence, carries a strength that the world cannot shake. As we bring this journey through Seneca's Stoic lessons to a close, one truth remains clear. The path to mental toughness isn't built in a day, it's built through daily choices. In the final section, we'll tie it all together and explore how to integrate these timeless principles into your modern life, starting now. Solitude, then, is not a withdrawal from life, but a preparation for it. A way to cultivate the kind of strength that can withstand anything the world might bring. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. He didn't view solitude as a form of isolation, but as a tool, a method for refining the self. He encouraged individuals to turn inward not to escape reality, but to build the inner fortitude necessary to face it. He wrote, "It is in your power to withdraw yourself whenever you desire. Perfect tranquility within consists in the good ordering of the mind, the realm of your own." These words remind us that peace isn't something we find outside. It's something we create within. And solitude gives us the space to do just that, to organize our thoughts, to recenter our values, to find stillness even in chaos. But the beauty of solitude doesn't end with ourselves. Something powerful happens when we return from time spent alone. We bring back more to give. We show up with greater patience, because we've practiced sitting with discomfort. We bring deeper empathy, because we've listened to our own pain and thoughts. We gain clarity, which allows us to communicate with kindness and intention. In this way, solitude doesn't just enrich our inner world, it elevates our relationships. We become better friends, partners, colleagues, and citizens. We participate in life more fully, because we are no longer scattered, overwhelmed, or reactive. The Stoics, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, each offered timeless guidance on how to use solitude not as an escape, but as a gateway to deeper presence, fuller living, and mental endurance. When we retire into ourselves, even briefly, we're not abandoning life. We're stepping away for just long enough to see clearly, to realign, and to return to the world with intention. And that is what Stoicism is truly about. Living well, thinking clearly, and acting with wisdom, no matter what life throws our way. Final reflection and closing call to action. So as we wrap up today's journey through Seneca's Stoic lessons on mental toughness, take this with you. You already have the tools. You already have the strength. You simply need to train your mind, just as you would your body. Prepare for hardship, not with fear, but with calm readiness. Reframe your perspective, not as a victim, but as a student of life. And retreat into yourself, not to hide, but to emerge stronger. If you found value in these ideas, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and join our growing community. Together, we're not just learning philosophy, we're living it. They are living wisdom, practical, relevant, and powerful tools we can use in our daily lives. These are not abstract theories for scholars. They are strategies for living, rooted in clarity, discipline, and deep human insight. Stoicism shows us the value of focus in a world full of distractions. The power of self-control in a culture of instant gratification. The importance of preparedness in the face of uncertainty. The strength born from embracing discomfort instead of avoiding it. The freedom that comes from releasing the victim mindset. And the clarity that blossoms in solitude, when we finally turn inward and listen to our own truth. Each of these principles calls us to do the hardest and most necessary work of all. To face ourselves. To refine our character. To live, not perfectly, but deliberately, honestly, and courageously. Because Stoicism never promised us an easy life. It offers us something better, the tools to meet any life, easy or hard, with grace, wisdom, and inner strength. It invites us to see each obstacle not as an end, but as a test of virtue. Each hardship, not as punishment, but as an opportunity to grow stronger. And when we live this way, when we begin applying Stoic principles to our everyday lives, we do more than survive. We thrive. We begin to build something rare and powerful. A life of peace, purpose, and fulfillment, not handed to us by the world, but cultivated from within. So, in the spirit of Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, let's not stop here. Let's keep walking the path. Let's continue to explore how these ancient insights can guide us through the complex challenges of modern life. Let's commit, each day, to being just a little better than the day before. To living with intention. With virtue. With strength. If you've found meaning in this journey, consider checking out one of the videos on your screen now. They're crafted to help you go even deeper into the practical, daily application of Stoic wisdom. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Stoic Journal. It's free, and it helps us grow a community of people committed to thinking deeply and living wisely. Thank you for spending your time with us. Your curiosity, your openness, and your willingness to grow, that's what makes this journey worthwhile. Remember this. The path to wisdom isn't easy. It winds through discomfort, doubt, and discipline. But every step you take, every thoughtful choice, every act of reflection, every moment of courage, brings you closer to a life of depth, meaning, and peace. And if you've made it this far, chances are, you're searching for something. Maybe it's inner strength. Maybe it's peace in the middle of chaos. Or maybe, it's simply a more grounded way to live in a restless world. Seneca never promised that life would be easy. But he gave us tools, to face life head-on, to walk through pain without falling apart, and to love life deeply even when we know everything is fleeting. So ask yourself now. Will you let fear lead you? Or will you choose courage? Let calmness be your armor. Let discipline be your weapon. And let gratitude be the light that guides your every day. Right pointing finger emoji, if this video stirred something inside you. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey of mastering the mind, where philosophy isn't just to be studied. It's to be lived. Welcome to the Stoic lifestyle, where you don't just survive. You shine from within.